Alright, in this video, I'm going to try to sell you an upcoming gacha game called Etheria Restart, releasing on June 5th. This video will serve as a way to break down the game while also giving its best selling points, because most of the game is essentially just good. And that is what we're going to be talking about in this video. If there's only certain aspects of it that interest you, check the timestamps down below and let's get into it. Have you struggled to get a unit because of a 50-50 system? Have you struggled to get a weapon because you just did not have the remaining pulls to actually summon on it? Well, guess what? Both the 50-50 system in a gacha banner and the weapon system entirely is completely gone from this game. Even more so, dupes have absolutely no relevancy in PvP and actually do not change a unit's kit and only give extra stats. The best thing is that this caters to pretty much every type of player. While being a PvP centric game, it also has very good PvE content and also good co-op content. We're going to be expanding on every single one of these points that I just made and more, but before we get into that, I just want to give a quick shout for you guys to actually go check Prydwen out. Now, if it's your first time seeing me, I would absolutely appreciate it if you like the video and subscribe for more Etheria Restart content. In the past, I've covered Black Clover Mobile as my PvP game, but this time I really want to go in on an actually good meta from what I've been seeing and a genuine dev team who actually cares about their players from what we could also tell as of right now. And I hope to see you guys for the journey moving forward. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So Prydwen is going to be covering Etheria Restart, and I, alongside other creators like Timaeus and also Vulcan, will be working on this with some theory crafters. Shout out to Big Bear and also to Glorp. Now, in this database, having the character kits is great. For example, you could actually check what the level increases do, and on this skill, it's actually going to show what every single status buff or effect ailment is going to do. So for example, we could see on Tiamat's skill 2, she has 3 different buffs, right? A healing over time, a bloodshed, and a shield. Now, you might not know how much the healing is. You might not know what exactly the shield is and what bloodshed does. And if you just click on the skill effects, it's there. The best thing, I mean, for sure, there's tier list. That's going to be great. Is character stats. I played Black Clover Mobile, and having this on Prydwen when it was covered was great, because seeing who's the quickest and who's the slowest was just so clutch long term. And I think this is a really useful tool to have. And alongside all their guides, I think it is very worth checking this site out. Now then, I think the gacha system is the first thing we should talk about real quick. I mean, literally every single point of this gacha system is what I want, and I think what many people want, and this alone could be a main reason to play. Now, why I actually say that is because if this game succeeds, it will actually encourage this game to continue the system and also encourage other games to bring in a similar system. Now, what am I talking about? First of all, limited units, like we see with Freya, our first limited unit, will actually be in the standard banner right away. On launch, that means the limited banner launch banner, being Freya, is also going to be in the standard banner, which is going to give insane value long term. When they bring out more units, that means those units will also go into the standard banner right away. So if you don't want to chase a unit right away, but you do like them enough, or for example, a unit comes out 3 months later that is really good with a unit that released that you did skip, you could get the unit you skipped with obviously a bit of chance, but still you have that chance available. Rerun banners will probably still happen, but you always have the chance of it getting on standard banner. Now, next up, no 50-50 system. After 100 pulls, you just get the unit guaranteed. There's no weapon banner because of the fact that shells are grindable pets. So the weapon kind of function in this game is grindable, which we'll get into later. And then dupes are also unimportant compared to other games. You could see dupes completely change unit kits. You could see also it be almost a prerequisite, right, in some instances, or at least greatly change them. But in this game, it is not the case. And even in PvP, they do not function, which is absolutely huge. Now, the next thing is that the SSR rate is 1%, so it's not the highest, but at the same time, no 50-50 system and no weapon banner does make it a lot better, especially with units going to the standard banner as we go. And one thing that also helps them is a key point they talked about in the actual live stream, which was them wanting to have units last a long time by doing a kind of counter cycle. So even if a unit is not good or maybe less good, they will be able to counter maybe a unit in the future that will allow them to stay good. It was a bit hard to understand due to the fact the actual developer did not have English as his first language, but that's kind of what you could understand, that the bottom line is they wanted units kits to last and not be completely obsolete after 6 months, which is huge for a PvP focused game. Now, as for PvP, I actually am deeply in love with this system. I have not even been able to really touch the game, but just being able to watch a bunch of other people, and you're probably seeing it on screen right now, the Timaeus tournament was absolutely phenomenal. Link to that down below. And I really do like how, first of all, there is pick and ban, which is great. But in terms of the actual combat design, we're going to talk about it in this aspect. I'm not going to go too in depth into PvE in this video, but we will talk about it. Now, every unit has 3 skills, and the passives are actually hidden in the skill, so you'll probably see it in the skill 1 or 2, I believe. Now, most units have exclusive buffs or debuffs to them, so that's going to allow the meta to actually stay very fresh due to how many mechanics there are in this game, right? You could actually see here, Prydwen made a list of buffs and debuffs, and we could say almost half of them are unique buffs, like Wrathquake, Wrath, Whale Prayer, Underworld Flower, Ultimate Form probably, Twin Trick, Soul Ward, Soul Flames, and it goes on, right? So there's a lot of buffs and debuffs that are actually exclusive to a unit, which I think is actually very good to allow you to not have a very stale meta and actually expand the meta as you see fit for new archetypes. And even the SSRs you see on screen, almost all of them, pretty much all of them, have a use in the meta and will have a use in the future, right? And that is something very important, and we don't even have the full roster on Prydwen yet. That should be updated tomorrow, so check out the database, which actually should be live by the time you're seeing this video. And pretty much all of these units have some archetype, and even for someone like Sonya, who is essentially a dot unit, she is... Even if she is relegated to a dot team, she is extremely good on said dot team, which I think if you have at least one use, it is very good. And not even to say, a lot of the SRs have value, and their goal that they did mention, one of the things they did mention, was trying to have everyone have some value, even if it is for PvE specifically. One thing to say is that pick and ban could make it a bit less free to play for said free to play players. But the thing is, after a month or two, you get your one copy of the units you want, and by that point, you should be fine if we're being completely honest. You will probably not have every SSR in the game, but you're going to have enough to be able to build the teams you want, be it stall, cleave. I don't even know if they're really going for too much cleave or dot or any other team comp they decide to kind of bring into the mix. So that's something to really keep in mind, is that maybe at the beginning it might not seem the best for you in PvP, but at the same time they're going to be giving out a good amount of currency from what I've been able to see, and at the same time have a very good banner system with no weapons, so you get to fully focus on actual characters to allow you at some point, because dupes don't really affect much, to still be able to compete. Maybe you won't be top 100 or 200 because of course having more units is going to allow you to counter other people who have less units for sure. But I think you will still be able to enjoy PvP if that's what you want. We do need to talk about PvE for a little bit. PvE will actually have many good game modes that are difficult, with Phantom Theater, guild bosses, and limited events being your difficult content. Grinding will be a challenge in this early on, which adds to the game's charm. I fully support that point. I fully believe in that point, because I think even being able to make a difficulty, a challenge out of grinding is very good early game, because of course having extra challenge, especially when it's something you need to be able to progress even further, is just a positive in a game like this for sure. Now, the main point that I want to talk about is co-op actually exists. So let's say you don't like PvP too much, maybe you'll just stick in bot arena. That's fine, because you'll have co-op, you'll have good PvE content that they do seem to plan to update rather regularly, and it's going to be pretty good in that aspect. I do think you could enjoy this game while not playing PvP as a complete sweat and min-maxing, which I think adds so much to this game because of the co-op there. I think it really does have an element that maybe if you come from HSR, you could still like this game due to that element of being able to play with other players for sure. Now in this game, there's two different types of main progression systems we could say to help you level up besides like add-ons, right? So first off, we have shells, which are what act as your weapons. Now shells are going to be gotten through Grim Pursuit, and on screen you can see there's just a bunch of shells from just the legendaries, but there are epics, uniques, and rares, and I definitely like that it is something that you could grind. Now there is a definite grindy aspect to it, but I do like that they really have unique passives. Like for example, before the owner takes action, if the owner has debuffs, dispels debuffs, 3 debuffs, and for every 1 debuff dispelled recovers 10% max HP, or for every 3 actions accumulated by enemy units increases the owner's strike prep by 35% and can be triggered up to 1 time per turn, and strike prep would be stamina in another game. Just the fact you could grind this, while the grind will be hard, is great. I think that people would enjoy this over other ways, but I also would say the other thing being gear is very interesting compared to other games, because first of all, you have 3 different ways of getting gear at the moment, being Aurora, Doki Doki, and Terramatum. Now for the gear, you could have 6, 8, and 12. So one thing to understand is you can mix and match that in some different ways. But for example, what you could maybe do for more of a speed unit is use Swift Raid 6 out of 6, and then go on to Onslaught, which I think is attack. Yeah, Onslaught. Then you go for 8 out of 12, and then you could go back for, because this is going to give full attack, right, which could be good. Or maybe you want some accuracy, right? But you could also go for another Swift Rush for the 12 out of 12. So you could stack up a lot of speed if you would like, right? You could use Swift Raid, and then also you could go with Swift Rush. Or maybe you want to get some effect accuracy because it's a debuffer, right? And there's so many different sets. If you check all the sources, there's 6 different attack sets, some giving crit damage, some giving attack percent, and then others having unique passives on the 8 out of 8. And then for defense, right, then there's HP and healing. And then there's also some special ones. So I think it is really interesting how many ways we're for sure going to be able to mix and match these, considering you're going to need, for the most part, a 6, an 8, and a 12 set. Now you might be confused, like how the hell does this game make money? The gacha system seems free to play, and overall you don't even have a weapon, right? That is also grindable, right? The main thing that I could say to this is the true gacha, I would say, of this game is going to be the speed rolls, because if we go to the shells in the stats, you have to roll for 40 speed. You don't instantly get 40 speed. It's something you have to roll. Even for gear sets, obviously, substats speed. And then even more than that, they will actually hide in the skill upgrades speed. So you also have to level up the skills to make your units quicker, which is definitely something that could maybe be a turn off to some people, but I think this is fine because the gacha system's free to play. This makes it so that it allows the casuals to enjoy themselves, right? They can get the units they want, not have to go super crazy, but then also make it so the min-maxers still have the opportunity to min-max, but it's more about the gear gacha, why we could say gacha, but like rates, right? And not about actually getting the characters and also duping them out. On screen right now, you're going to be seeing essentially the traits, and that's how it's going to work. So you're going to be able to roll extra stats, and that's also going to be with the speed. So yeah, you're going to need to get the speed on that too, and it's going to make it so some units that are way lower in the speed actual like list are going to jump way higher when they're actually able to fully max out 1, the shell, 2, the gear, and 3, of course, the skills, right? So that's going to be the main way, because even getting the skill upgrades is something very difficult and is going to be a very long process, and it does kind of suck because it is a bit ironic. The skill 1s usually might have the worst skill upgrades, maybe if not if you're Hellkit, I guess, but they compensate for it by actually adding the speed upgrades on the skill 1 for many units, where maybe you'd want to get the skill 3 up just for the level bonuses that they give, but you would want the speed instead because that would help you more. So it's going to be kind of a pick and choose process, and that's something we're going to have to go through very in depth to see what's the best thing long term for your account. I would definitely say this game is worth playing. You could play even if you aren't min-maxing everything, and with how good the character designs are, I think playing for the good gacha system and even just the PVE can work for some of you. However, with how interesting the PvP system is, I think it is able to bring a little something for every type of player to enjoy and cure themselves of the Hoyoverse gacha system that you will see even in something like Wuthering Waves, who has a bit of a more higher end version of it. I still think this just is surpassing all of those, which is absolutely wonderful. Now, with that said, I hope I will see you guys in my future videos. Subscribe if you're new and if it's your first time seeing me. Thank you for watching. Like the video. I'll see you in the next one. Have a wonderful day. Let me know if you'll play. Bye-bye.